Take a look at using a texture. Typically you could use the Adobe Capture software on your handheld to capture a texture and bring that into your programs through the Adobe libraries. However, in the case of those of you who don't have that loaded on your devices, you can just go into the internet, do a Google search under images for textures. I've just put in the keyword textures. One thing to keep in mind, if you use tools, you can filter for larger size. And so I'm just going to choose this one here, and then I'm going to view the actual image so that I can save the highest resolution version available. So I just control click on that, and I'm going to save the image as texture. Okay, and I just save that, and it's saved down to my downloads folder, and now I want to switch over to Photoshop and open it up. So within Photoshop, I'll just close that. I want to open up that file. It's here in my downloads, and if I open that up, you can see it. Now I've got a number of adjustments that I can access through image adjustments. You know, I can adjust the hue and the saturation. So hue, I can change the color. I can increase the saturation, decrease it. I'm more interested in the black and the white values, so the highlights, the shadows, and a few gray areas in between. So I'm just going to dial down the saturation a little. There's many different adjustments that you can check out yourself. Really what you want to establish is some contrast. I'm now going to go to the mode setting and change it from an RGB color to a grayscale image. This is going to allow me to discard the RGB information. You'll notice I now have a grayscale. Now I'm going to go to Image Adjustments, Levels, and this is going to allow me access to a histogram that shows me the distribution of pixels in the image. You'll notice that most of the pixels in the population of the image are all clustered around 75% density. These sliders represent 0% black or white point here. The black point represents 100% black, and of course we've got all the steps in between. In fact, this is an 8-bit grayscale, meaning from level 0 to level 255, there are a total, if we include that, 256 levels of gray. Now, you'll notice that the closer we put these things together, so the distance between 42 and 44 is only 2 steps. That means we're stepping from white to black. That's contrast. Contrast really is the measure or the number of steps from the most extreme points in the grayscale image. So depending on where they're set, if they're set at the extremes, we have from 0 all the way up to 100%, we have 256 discrete levels. The closer these things are together, the higher the contrast, or the fewer steps required to go from 0% to 100% black. So the closer those two sliders are together, then the fewer number of steps we have in between. And we have really what amounts to a black and white image. So I want to capture a little bit of detail there. You can play around. This is your midpoint slider for setting where your midtones are going to be. And I kind of like that right about there. So you would just keep adjusting that. When you get the texture the way you want it, you can then say File, Save As, and you can save that out as a TIFF. So we're saving it as a grayscale TIFF. I'll just call it texture.tiff, and I'll just save that out onto my desktop. Later on, I'm going to bring this in to my Illustrator document and apply this texture to a graphic that I'm generating.